Welcome to the Lifestyle Chase, Season 2. This podcast features high performers who have found a way to live their best life while balancing their health, wellness, friends, and family. I'm your host, Chris Little. Let's get started. The Lifestyle Chase is brought to you by Yeg Fitness. Yeg Fitness is Edmonton, Alberta, Canada's healthy lifestyle community, creating and supporting active living for all. Check them out online at yegfitness.ca and on social media at yegfitness. So, welcome to episode 138 of the Lifestyle Chase. I'm joined by the one and only Ethan Woodham. How are you doing?
Good. Pretty good.
It's good.
Yeah, man.
What's something cool that's happened to you today?
Happened to me today? I don't know that anything cool happened yet today, although my 3-year-old is a huge daddy fan, so she almost got to come to work with me today. She begs to come to work and hang out, and if it was anything other than today, yeah, you can come hang out, but yeah, no, I got to spend the morning with my girls, which usually doesn't get to happen. I'm usually in here bright and early, but because I was doing this, I was like, you know what, I'm going to kill the morning with them and just hang out and be dad and be a good partner, and now we're doing this.
Sweet.
This is a highlight of my day. I've since you asked, I was like, yes. But then I was like, wait, he asked. Okay, nerves are good. Nerves are good.
It's all about timing. So I'll give the audience some context as to my why for reaching out to you. So recently it's been very hot. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the world, but particularly in the Edmonton region. Some are less fortunate. We're kind of cut off of their water supply, and you hustled to get bottled water. And I've had to hustle for things before, and I understand how logistics can play a big role and how rallying the troops can be really challenging. What was the grand total of water bottles that you managed to get donated?
On the week, it was 19,000 water bottles.
It's a lot of water bottles. How many vehicle loads was that?
So when this initially happened, my buddy Nathan put it out that they were in a crisis. Didn't explain why, just said crisis. I jumped on it and just tried to help. The first trip we made on Tuesday, there were my roommate's truck and trailer, an SUV, another truck that were all filled to their max. And then they were still in crisis. I knew it wasn't going to be enough, and other business had already contacted me apologizing for being late. I had more money, and I was like, I guess I'm doing this again. So then I obviously put an even bigger one together on the Friday, and there were 5 trucks, 2 SUVs, a van, and a cube van, and we only didn't use one of those vehicles by the end of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So give my audience a bit of a background to you. So just if you were, I always use the analogy if you're at a party. I'm going to say if you were at a family reunion and you're just trying to catch people up on what you've been up to the last 10 years or so.
10 years, that's a long time. 10 years puts me at 20 years old. Oh, I don't want to think about that. Honestly, my background comes from being an athlete. I've been an athlete my entire life. Had the opportunity when I was playing football to start coaching kids, youth, kind of what I wanted to do as I've made my way through life and realized that I wanted to be there for people like nobody was there for me. Spent a lot of time in the gym because I was still an athlete, and all of a sudden these kids wanted to train, and it kind of fell on me that I was like, I'm going to be a trainer, I think that's what I'm going to do with my life. I went to school, met my partner, spent a couple of years working at box gyms here and there, didn't really care for it, and then I just said, you know what, I'm going to do something on my own. Started my own company, love every second of it, and then I started to realize that I needed to fix some stuff about myself. I was very angry, still very angry. I just can control it better. You wouldn't know it unless you did to talk to me in person or watch one of my videos. I get angry in those a lot too. I started writing. When I got a therapist, I thought somebody needs to hear this part of my story. And so I wrote it, and just before I could talk myself out of it, posted it to Facebook, and that was 2 years ago. And after that first time, I just kept feeling like I had to write. I just had to get it out. Somebody was listening. I didn't know who, but somebody. And then it got traction, and more people started to message me and to comment and to like and to share, and my story got out further, and people were actually listening, and it turned into now I get to be this mental health advocate and change the world, and it's coming at me left, right, and center, and I can barely keep up, it seems, but it's been an interesting blessing to be where I am now, based off of, if you knew me 6 months ago, if you knew me a year ago, you would know, you would be able to tell who I am now.
Yeah.
It's been so insane, man. It's even COVID sucked, and it's sucked for everybody. It sucked when my business was shut down and I couldn't train people to do what I love. But then the mental health advocacy took off. I had 4 interviews in the first 3 weeks of COVID because people wanted my story to get out further and wanted to hear what I had to say, and it turned into writing pieces. It eventually turned into what I'm doing now. I now have this office that we're in to actually dedicate time to work and to dedicate time into speaking on this and really actually going after change in Edmonton and Alberta, Canada. I'm gonna change this world if I could do it by myself. I tell myself that every single day. And now here I am.
Fired up and ready to go. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
So you talked about, you took it back in the time machine to 20 years old. Let's dive into that a bit. What was a 20-year-old self like for you?
How are we with swearing on the show?
It's been happening before.
All right.
Past, so
I think I was gonna ask because you never know you can change your rules. I was an asshole, a real big one. My story starts at 5 years old when I started being abused by a parent. It lasted for over a decade. Fucked me up pretty good. And yeah, at 20 years old, I was barely living. I wanted to hurt everybody for the hurt that I was feeling. I wanted people to suffer, but I wanted people to suffer that deserved to suffer. I wanted to be judge, jury, executioner. I was tired of hurting, but I knew other people were hurting, so how could I use my hurt to benefit other people while I hurt the people that were hurting them? At 20 years old, I was partying every day, addicted to many forms of drugs and coping mechanisms, and just not a nice person. I just wasn't. Like, I know I wasn't, and I know I was hurting, and I was broken, but man, was I just a dick. I just was.
I think a lot of people go through different like evolutions of themselves. Like you even talked about like how if you go back 6 months, you'd be a very different person. If we went back 6 months, I'd be a very different person. Just like even if we just section it in how we train people, like what we put into a program, the questions we ask our clients, like life shapes us.
Oh, absolutely.
What happened to you in those early 20s that changed the wheel, changed things?
It really didn't change until I was 24, 25. That's when I went to school. I went to school for personal training. I went to Elevated Learning Academy. Shout out to them. They set me on this path, so I just showed them whatever chance I get. Met my partner Avery, and really, she kind of is the catalyst to a lot of this. And then not that I saw her like she's gonna help me heal. It wasn't like that, but she took the time to see the person that I could be, and not very many people did. I never really gave anybody the chance to do it. And I think that when I found what I loved in personal training, I happened to find a person that loved me for me, and then cared about me for me in the state that I was in. And she pushed me eventually later on in our relationship to seek therapy, and our church was able to help me get there, and I've been with the same guy for 2 years. So really the switch was going to school. It wound up being the day I decided to go to school and then take control of some part of my life at least, and 5 years later here I am.
Well, I think a big part of that is just being in the right environment, being surrounded by people who just let you be you.
Oh, there's a few people that did, and I really wanted to throttle a couple of those people in that class. Anybody that sees this that knows me, that knows the class, knows exactly what I'm talking about. I made it known a few times that I didn't like a couple of people in there for being judgy dinks, but
I mean, in terms of your partnership, like with Avery,
like it's been crazy. The environment, I guess, and it was an environment that I'd never been before. Like I come from the thug life, the party, the being a little hired hand, being a little gangster. I come from that life. That's where I spent my entire youth, where I spent most of my adult life up until that point. So it was weird. It was weird and uncomfortable. And I didn't really understand until the last 2 years, like being uncomfortable is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, especially in our line of work. But the actual ability to be seen as somebody that has goals and aspirations was new to me, and it was weird, and just it took a long time to adjust to, because I expect the worst out of everybody. And Avery used to bug me that I'm just such a pessimist, and I said, no, I'm just a realist. I've lived it. I know what people are like. So I made my judgments off of 24 years of experience, and even those, like, lots of those are wrong. I've come to realize how wrong I was.
Yeah.
I still get it right from time to time, but generally the world wants to do good. People just are too afraid to jump into that uncomfortable area. Now I live there.
I've definitely reflected on a lot of NF songs, and I know that we both like him. His song "The Search," he says something along the lines of, like, basically, if you think you're gonna fail, you're gonna fail. If you think it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big thing that a lot of people have to accept. Like, people who could be 20 years in their career, they could be 70 years old. Just headspace, attitude makes such a huge difference. And I mean, this podcast, of all podcasts, I've always been pretty enthusiastic to get people on that are talking about seeing therapists and stuff. Let's kind of open that up for people who might be thinking of seeing someone. What was your very first session? Like, your very first session? Like, I imagine there must have been some pushback or something.
Oh, absolutely. I fought this guy for the first 3 months. I don't like talking to people. I deal with, I'm better now, but I was dealing with this what it meant to be a man, this, you don't talk, you don't share your feelings, that's not what men do. I grew up like that, I lived it, I still struggle with it, but then for me the added problem was talking to a man. Lenny, the one that's supposed to be my father, if you hear the word Lenny or name Lenny, that's who I'm talking about. He abused me for a decade. I hate people, especially males older than me. I don't want to tell you anything. I do not have good experiences. So I fought Jay, my therapist, for 3 months. So there was times when I'd kill a session and just sit there for an hour and not say a word to him. There was times when he would ask me questions and I'd just tell him to fuck off. I don't want to talk to you. And he just would not quit. He just kept scheduling the next one and kept scheduling the next one and kept scheduling the next one. And then finally at some point, I don't know what changed in me, but I went in and I felt the need to share something. And that was the beginning of the end for that. Once I shared the one thing, it came like a floodgate. Like, all I needed to do was trust that he wasn't going to hurt me.
Yeah.
He wasn't there to harm me. He wasn't going to use it against me. He wasn't going to prove to me that humans just suck in every way, shape, or form. And it took him a long time to break that down. And what he did, like, I still see Jay every other week right now. I will probably continue to see him for as long as I can think about it, honestly. I do not see me not seeing Jay, because he adds to my ability to have a safe place to let stuff go.
Yeah.
And it comes, like, when I'm a mental health advocate, for those of you that don't know who I am. I not only have my own life to deal with, I have to deal with other people's lives. I have to deal with the shit that I hear. I have to deal with hearing that somebody else was abused for as long as I was. I have to deal with a lot of stuff every day because people trust me, because they see me doing it. I have to be very careful not to let that creep in too deep, so I have to be able to see somebody else where I can just offload what I've heard, and then at the end of the day it makes me a better advocate, because I can now offer a new resource or something that I learned from Jay. Or he sends me videos all the time on new ways to think about stuff. Like, he feeds what I'm doing on the outside, because he has got red tape all over the place with being a therapist. You can't do. I can. But I will never not see Jay because of the work that I do now. And I think it's important for everybody to find something like that. I truly, I will say it till I'm blue in the face, whether it's one-on-one or a group session, anything where you can feel a safe space to just exist and be you and get shit off your chest, you need to find it. I'll help. You can comment, I'll help. But you need to. Everybody needs to have some safe space to go that isn't related to them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also a testament to the skills of that therapist that's helped you, because, there's a lot of trainers who will go through a number of different therapists to find, a good match. And there's just people in general who think that they might need somebody to help. They find their first person, it doesn't work, and then they have to go through a few others. Because I've had probably at least a dozen conversations with different people in and out of the fitness industry where they have sought out help, whether it has been an outlet, a good support group, a therapist, anything like that. And it's a journey. You talked about how he kind of leaned into you, and you were kind of uncomfortable through that process. Does that have anything to do with you thriving and feeling uncomfortable for what it's done for you? Or just tell me more about that topic.
I think that him leaning into me was the catalyst for me trusting that I can do it. When you suffer, like as long as I did, it becomes hard to take people at their word. You don't believe anybody. People, unfortunately, and it's not their fault, but they have to prove it to you in some way, shape, or form. When you come from the hurt that I have or anything like it, like you wind up having to have people that are there to work. Like even I can equate it to Avery. Like she has dedicated tons of time and emotional time and tax into me being where I am now. And I mean, hearing about the atrocities that I suffered is hard for people, let alone a therapist, but let alone your partner. Like, it was letting people see the ugly that he kind of kicked off. And I learned how to trust Avery when I could walk in the door when I didn't think I was going to survive and just like melt in her presence because she gave me a safe space outside of that. Jay did a different kind of push for me in that he made it okay to be mad. Everybody in my life has always told me that I can't be angry. You shouldn't be angry. Don't be angry. Don't. And Jay never said that. Be mad. Yeah. You have every right to hate, to be angry. Feel that. When you shut those things down, they never go away. They just sit silently and wait for the next time you snap. The next time you get to that point, and then it's worse. And Jay gave me this ability to understand that I'm allowed to be mad. And in the early goings, it was just that, just be mad. I spend my session just being mad. And now it's, I know when I'm mad, and then I break down why. Why am I so pissed off? What set me off? Is it my past, or is it the situation? And if it's the situation, how do I convey it calmly, or how do I work to change the situation so it doesn't happen again? And so Jay broke that down for me, broke that barrier of being afraid to be angry, and now I've just repurposed it. I'm angry all the time. I speak out on ugly shit every day. I'm angry when I'm talking. Can't tell unless you hear me start cussing like a lot, then it made me tell that. But it was this realization that emotions are emotions, and anybody that tells you to not feel an emotion is a dick.
It's true.
They just are.
You gotta emote. You have to. If you gotta cry, you gotta cry. If you gotta be mad, you gotta be mad. If you gotta feel overwhelmed, you gotta feel overwhelmed. Like, these things, you can't bottle them up.
No, bottling emotions is a good way to make sure that you are toxic. It's like it's the weirdest thing, because you think like happy. It's so easy to exude happiness for people, but even if you contain that happy, it turns toxic. You get afraid to show that you're happy. So when you're happy, well, that's not what you want to do. You want to cheer. You want to jump up. You want to laugh. You want to laugh till you cry. You want to giggle, but somebody killed it in you. So now you hold that in, and you start to lose the understanding of what happy is. Anger, you shut it down. Everybody knows this one. What happens when you shut anger down without experiencing it? Eventually someone's like, you look good today. Just like, I didn't look good yesterday? Didn't look last week? You saw me yesterday? No, it's like, it becomes toxic to the human form, for all you give a fuck, you call it whatever you want, to hold in emotions and not express them, no matter what the emotion is. We are emotional creatures. Learning how to actually emote is a big deal, and it's actually quite challenging if you wait till you're 30. I know.
And then it comes back down to environment. It's like, you have to be in an environment that facilitates you to feel comfortable with being happy, comfortable with being angry, comfortable with being all these things. Like,
absolutely,
the people in your circle make a huge difference.
Oh yeah, my circle has changed repeatedly. It's always evolving. I have lots of circles. Like I do. In this space here, I have a really tight-knit circle. My business partner, I bounce ideas off him all the time. He helps me make better quality videos. He sees almost everything that I do. That's my mental health advocacy circle for putting out content, but my mental health advocacy circle for giving you resources is different. I bounce other videos off of 3 separate people other than Jesse. Then I have another circle over here for fitness, and I have another circle over here, and then I have a bigger circle of people that I know will see it, and then like the circles are always evolving. But if you get a small toxic circle in there, it spreads like a virus. And eventually you lose all those circles. And then you gotta go build them again. And it's not as much fun as it sounds.
Well, that'll happen in life. It's not like things are just perfect and fluid. It's
yeah, make it sound like that. I'm not. Don't.
Yeah.
It's not. It's ugly. It's messy. You're gonna piss people off. You're gonna make some others happy. It is. There's no way to get through this life unscathed. There isn't. But who you choose to put in your circles is paramount to the circles themselves. If I was still hanging out with the people that I was all partying all the time and hanging out, I wouldn't. What voice would I have now? I wouldn't have one, because you'd see pictures of me partying, videos of me drinking, videos of this, probably a video or two of me fighting. Does that kind of give me the clout to say what I'm saying and have you actually think that I'm right? Or listen and take it at what I'm saying? No. I'm just the party animal on the dink. So my circle has to change to where I want to go.
It's true. It's true. And then there's going to be people who are able to grow with you. And there's going to be people who give you like flashbulb moments, so things that kind of stick with you for life. And it can be good, it can be bad, it can be many, many things. But the next topic we're going to segue into is you as a dad. What's that like? How did that begin?
Well, I don't know if we're going to talk the birds and the bees, but we had Mara. She's 3 years old now. Just honestly, I can't. There's not enough words. If you're a parent or a fairly new parent, and you know what I'm talking about, you try to think about the words to say. Like you love them. Everybody loves their kid. Well, not everybody. Let me rephrase that. Most people love their kids. But she just does stuff. Like even when I want to be mad, it's hard to be mad. When she hurt her sister today, and I was just like, I can't talk down to her. I have to bring her on my lap so she can look me in the eye, so I'm not intimidating her, and I'm gonna lower my voice, and I can tell she's struggling. She feels bad because she knows she's in trouble, but she feels bad because she hurt somebody, and it's just this weird give-take balance. Like my heart bursts, and then it shrinks and bursts and shrinks, and okay, and then after she's done being scolded, she's like, okay, hug me, and just falls into me. I'm like, yeah, it's daddy's girl. It's just there's no words to describe being a dad. Roxy's 9. She is just always going. She's very she's gotten into video games a lot more now, which is kind of neat. But they're all on the phone, and I'm like a console gamer, so I'm trying to bridge that gap. But she comes down when she gets stuck on a level, she'll hand me the phone and I'll beat it. Thank you. She takes off, but she knows that I'll beat the levels for her if she needs, if she gets stuck too long. But it's really. Yeah, I tell myself I'm going to change this world. I want it to be a better place when I leave it. I want it to be a better place for them. I want them to know that they can do anything. I want them to see that this world is not such a scary and ugly place by the time I'm done on it. So when I say I'm going to change this world, I think about them every time I say that.
Well, I think that's something that a lot of people are going to resonate with. Like, when they are putting all that energy into providing a legacy through their children or through anybody that they are a role model to. That's a lot of energy. That takes a lot of sacrifice. That takes a lot of vulnerability. It's not always easy. You don't always get it right. What was your first day of being a dad like? Were you freaking scared?
Oh yeah, overwhelming. Day of. I distinctly remember it was 2:30 in the morning, 2 in the morning. Avery called me and said, I think it's, I didn't even let her finish. I was dressing out the door. Flew over, picked her up, flew to the hospital. Made it, the round trip's supposed to be 45 minutes. It was 29 minutes. They say don't speed in the classes. I don't know a single dad that didn't speed. I just don't. They lie. Everybody speeds. Don't do it, but everybody does. Anyways, and it was, the whole process was insane. And then we got her home. And it was great, but it was oh, we're home. You're permanently here. Huh. I don't know what to do with these emotions anymore. And then she would cry, like a baby cries. And I was like, okay, I can deal with this. And she wouldn't stop crying. She got fed, she was changed, she wouldn't stop crying. I was just like, what's happening? Did I break you, my good dad? And I just remember when Avery comes around the corner, they're just like, are you okay? I'm good, we're both great, we're fine. We're both crying. So you can't get her to stop crying? No, what am I doing wrong? And Avery takes her from me, and she doesn't stop crying, but Avery just sits there, and so we sit on the couch together, And she eventually stops crying, and I finally stopped crying, and he was just like, yep, prepare for more of those because it's going to keep happening. And I just like, that will always stick with me. I just remember being like, I can't make my own kids stop crying. I'm a terrible parent. I've only been at this for 24 hours. And yeah, and after that, it's been on the up and up ever since. She floors me every day. She talks like she's like 10 years old already. I'm just like, stop growing up. Stop growing up. But it's insane.
So at that point in your life, like, what was your career like? Like, what were you doing? What was your day to day?
3 years ago, I would have been working at a private gym at that point. And the only reason I remember that is because I remember being like, hey, like, we are any day now. Like, if I go, I'm leaving for, I don't know, at least a couple weeks. And my day to day was hectic, just trying to continue to work, I took a full 2 weeks off, and then it was back to working and just trying to keep getting clients. And at that point, like, I hadn't started my own business yet, and it was just a bit of a struggle. I was just wound up shifting to another gym, just that it was just closer, easier to commute to, and started to build my clientele a little bit easier there. And that's actually where I met Jesse. I worked for him, and yeah, it was interestingly exhausting. From my point of view, because obviously Avery's at home all day, non-stop, no breaks. And I went from being there to being at work to going back, and just it was just lots of back and forth, and it was just really, I just remember chaos. It was just a lot of chaos.
Yeah, but you made it.
Right? Surviving. It's not over yet.
Totally.
But it was just like, it's cooled down now. It's nice because she's independent now. We don't have to actually walk, like, except for then she dropped nail polish on the carpet upstairs. That was a big thing. I was like, okay, maybe we shouldn't let's hide some stuff now that we know. And she's a climber. She's like me, or like I was. She climbs on anything. Like, she's 6 months old. She climbed this bookshelf. Like, I went to the kitchen. She was trying to figure out how to stand up, and when I looked back, she was already 2 rungs up. As a dad, I'm super stoked and pleased. As a partner, I'm going to get you down before Avery comes around the corner. and that was kind of like, okay, this is what this is going to be like. And it is. She's a climber. She's a tank. She fell off the bed once, didn't even shed a tear, just like got up and was like, nobody saw that, and got back on the bed. I was like, wow. Yeah, it's just nuts. It really is nuts.
Well, I think a lot of people almost need to hear that, because no shifts in life really happen when we plan for them. It's not like, oh, my 5-year plan just went exactly like my 5-year plan went to be. Like, it's like we got slammed with the pandemic where nobody signed up for it. Like, nobody was like, yeah, I'd like the gyms to all be closed for 3 months. Nobody was like, oh, I'd like to be isolated for 3 months. Like, it just happened. Yep. But we push forward, we prevail, it all works out.
Keep taking baby steps. They don't have to be giant leaps. But the hardest thing is that I've found from people, at least as life is now, is they get out of a routine, and it's hard to have a routine when you don't know what tomorrow looks like. Like, we could be back to phase 1 in the morning. Like, that in itself means you can't plan for a routine. And when you're routine based and you want to set stuff in stone, it's hard on the psyche, it's hard on the energy levels, because you can't. And it's frustrating for a lot of people, and I fully get that, but it's baby steps. You don't have to kill it every day. If you get by on a day, if you get by on 2 days, if you get by a week, you're okay. Like, there's no normal anymore. People want to go back, and it's what's causing so many problems. People think we're going to get back to normal, and we won't. This is new. We're doing this as a country, as a planet, together. We are moving forward into what this looks like. They're calling for another wave, 2 and 3. Whether it'll happen or not, who's to say? I'm not a scientist. And this has nothing to do with my political views or anything. Like, I want to get out of the way. I'm just saying what I see happen. And waves 2 and 3, if that comes, October, like they say, and then January, how can you plan for a new normal? How bad is it going to be? Is it going to be like this one? Is it going to be worse? Is it going to be easier? You have so many questions you can't plan, but if you can always plan to take one baby step forward every day, you're going to be all right. You're going to get through it. I promise you will get through this if you just take one baby step every day.
And just the aspect of self-belief, just like believing in yourself, just like you had like a support system in Avery, just believing that you had what it took to go to school to be a trainer, and like obviously believing that you have what it takes to press forward despite making your own child cry. Like, you're gonna be okay. Like, life was gonna go on. Okay. You could both cry simultaneously for hours on end, and the sun would rise again. You posted a pretty solid post about body image the other day, and that's something that strikes a chord with a lot of people. There's gonna be a lot of trainers that aren't gonna admit it, but I think probably a grand majority of our industry probably related to you. I know I can speak personally. I was like, oh hell yeah, like I could do the same damn post. Like we're all feeling it. So what was it like for you to be vulnerable with that kind of content?
That one was hard. It's all been hard. Like, it started off hard. Like, I can do it easily now. Like, lots of the stuff I start is personal story, but I've got the armor on that I know that I can push through. But that one was different. And it was different for a lot of reasons. For me, I've been told many gross things about myself my entire life. I've never been worthy. I've been fat. I've been ugly, gross. Every nickname you can think of for a fat kid, I've been called my entire life. I get into an industry where up here, I'm fucking really good at what I do. But I don't project like your basic trainer unless you see me lift. And anybody that sees me lift is like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. But when you see me and you judge me based off of the way that I look, I see it. I don't see people look at me when I'm at work in the gym. I've had trainers that I've looked up to call me out on being fat. This industry that we're in is incredibly toxic the way it is. And so for me, when I said like this was hard, it took me 6 months to post that. Like, it has taken me a long time because I knew somewhere people were going to be talking shit. But it dawned on me, like, I don't give a shit if people talk shit about me or not. I've shared the fact that I was molested 3,000 times or more by a parent. Talk all the shit you want about that. So why is this any different? And so I clicked send and then hid in a hole for about an hour. But what happened was actually quite fascinating to me. I have people that are physique competitors that I didn't know. Like, they were friends. We see each other in the gym all the time. But I got a long message from an acquaintance that was like, this dude competes figure. He is jacked, and he like was like, if I could cry, I would cry. Like, that hit me in the chest. I was like, you're 6'4", 220, and 4% body fat. What are you talking about, you? I didn't say that, but I had to process it. And then he sent me another message explaining why and how he felt and what drove him to be a fitness competitor or physique competitor. And then just like, people are hurting over something as fucking arduous as the size of their stomach or the size of their pecs. And I feel just how needed it was after I had enough courage in my index finger to hit send. Because it is one of my most viewed posts as it stands. And people just ate it up because in some way, shape, or form, it registered with people.
Yeah. Well, I'm a firm believer that a lot of people are broken in some way. Like, it's not bad to be broken.
No.
I think a lot of us have battle scars. And it's in different facets of our life. And it shapes a lot of our decisions. It influences our reluctancy to do certain things. Like you talked about, reluctancy to trust an older male. And just how it kind of shapes how tough it is for you to lean into some things but not into others. Tough for you to talk and be vulnerable, not tough to fight, you know?
Yeah.
And everybody's going to have their different thing, and when we're just able to just talk about it, then it allows us to open up and be like a support group, like an interconnected, like, true social network.
No, it is.
Not just like social network.
Crazy, man, you nailed it. If you go and look at my videos, read a lot of the stuff I write, like, at some point I make reference to community. I make reference to support. Like, we are not designed to go through this life alone. Be single. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what Chris just said. Community is how you get through. Being able to lean on people. Being able to feel like somebody has your back at all times. And that could be a different person every day. but community is how we get through this life. And I'm living testament to it, even as I speak. If you watch people engage on videos, more as a new person talking in my comment section every day, they see the value in like, oh, all those people are looking. Well, I only have like 1 out of 12 of those problems, but if I have one, maybe somebody else can help me get through it. Like, that's the idea. I share my story so that somebody can hear it that needs to hear it. I may never meet this person. I may never, ever know about this person. But one person that sees a video that keeps fighting the next day is one more person added to the community of survivors. That's how we get through this life. We get through it supporting each other. Look at what's happening outside. Go ahead and open. I'll give you a second. Open Facebook. You're either going to wear a mask or you're not. Do you. But if you go into the comment section, there's how many people calling each other names over a fucking mask. How does that, it makes you feel gross. It weighs you down to see all of that confusion and hatred. Think about the last time somebody patted you on the back. That's it. That is the example right there of what it means to be supported by a community. That's it. That is the difference.
That was awesome. That was a good sidebar that you kind of went on. I
do that from time to time.
He's got this. He's got this. Something that really gets me thinking is we've talked about like working hard in the gym. You talked about like, oh yeah, like if you see me lift, then you would know. And I think that's something that I've defaulted to sometimes. Like I've heard people be like, oh man, you don't look like you lift. I'm like, you kidding me? Like I do. I do. It's
I
just
quite enjoys it actually.
It's one of those things where we can be our own biggest limiting factor, and it's a tough pill to swallow because it's like, well, I tried so hard and I didn't get this because of like this person, or I didn't get this because of like this limited opportunity or whatever. And it's just like, I'm speaking from my own experiences when I've stood in my own way, so I don't know if you'll be able to relate, but I'll kind of keep going with it. It's just the fact that like what we say to ourselves in our head, who we give time to, like we have the choice to be like, no, I'm not going to look at Facebook in the morning, or I'm not going to talk to this person, or I'm not going to, like so many little micro things that we can do. Some things are not in our control and we have to sit in the shit. Yeah. Sometimes we have to like live in a certain apartment with a certain neighbor, or we have to walk a certain way to work, or maybe we have to work out next to somebody that's just grumpy because that's just where we have to work out. And we learn from that, but then we learn from that and we make our next choice based on that thing. Like people are capable of great things if they see great things within themselves. So what are your goals for the next, like, let's say year? And I'm going to take out the category of like public speaking. We know that you're going to public speak.
You just did. You did, didn't you? I was like, I got this. He's like, no, I'm going to. No, you don't.
What else? Like, what is it that is maybe at a deeper level of who you are? What is it that's even more challenging? Because like speaking to a camera, that's in your wheelhouse now. That is a skill that you have.
It's not even to the camera anymore.
Well, it's speaking in front of people, speaking to the camera. That's a skill. You got it. You own it. It's yours. So what is something that you're going to get introspective and challenge yourself to be better at?
Slow down.
Slow down.
Honestly. So I went this past weekend to, it's my second year doing it. It's called the Global Leadership Summit. It's just a faith-based leadership summit. It's 2 days, great speakers from all over the world. And two of the speakers that I greatly respect were both basically address this slowing down. When you're new to stuff, like advocacy for me, I'm only 2 years in, and this is just, it's been 100 miles an hour for 6 months straight. I don't know which way is up. I'm getting offers and talking and interviews and IG this and IG that and Facebook and here, and it's just, I'm meeting politicians right now. Multiple politicians. Me, because I can talk on this. Like, my story means politicians won't talk. Like, that's it. What? So, for me, the biggest. I don't want to say this. I don't know how I want to say this. I'm going to kill a little bit of camera time here and think about how I actually want to deliver this. I think for me, it's been so overwhelming while knowing there's so much work to do. That makes me say yes to everything that comes my way. Yes, oh, absolutely, I will, I can, I will. But then I leave my family behind. I leave my friends behind. I neglect things. I forget to do stuff. I don't give myself and my family and my friends enough Ethan time. Like, I have to slow down. I have to learn when to say yes. I have to learn when to say no. I'm good at yes. I'm real good at that. And when to say no. So for me, this next year especially is about finding actual balance and slowing down, spacing stuff out, giving myself time to breathe, being able to spend a morning with my family. I haven't been able to do that since COVID started. And just being able to really focus on longevity in what I'm doing. Because changing, like, fucking this world up was an overnight thing. So why am I trying to change it overnight? And that has stuck with me and been kind of what I see happening for me in the next while here is, yeah, I'm going to speak, and yeah, I'm going to do this, and yeah, I'm going to try to get things changed in the system of mental health in Alberta, and that will come with time, but I also need to make sure my cup stays full. If I empty my cup doing all this stuff, I've got no one else to pour into, no ability to pour anything from an empty cup, so I have to be able to keep my cup full, and I can speak it. I speak on that a lot, but doing it is a hell of a challenge, as it were, because when I'm not doing stuff, I feel like I'm letting people down. I don't really owe anything to anybody except for my family, and all they want is my time. I'm gonna change the world. Yeah, I've said it. I'm gonna keep saying it. But I don't owe the world anything. I'm choosing to do it, and I'm gonna. Just want my family there with me.
I think that's a critical takeaway for people is our bandwidth, our energy. Like, we only have so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in your workout, you can't just do everything in the damn gym. You have to pick the things that are going to move you forward, and what's going to move you forward is based on what is in your wheelhouse, what can you do competently that takes little time, and what do you need to work on that might take more time, and how are you going to allot more time to that kind of thing. Like, if somebody's really good at arm farm, but they're not so good at I don't know, a rear foot elevated split squat, well, they're going to need to a lot more time to rear foot elevated split squat. They might need to cut their arm farm to 10 minutes.
A little bit.
No more than 10.
No more. Slow
Get
down.
your pump, you move on.
Yeah.
But it's critical because pursuit of money, saying yes to a lot of things could make a lot of money. But that's not going to solve the problem. That's not going to solve being able to emote emotions. You're going to lose your time with people that you get to be mad and happy and sad with. That's just kind of how it goes. For myself, I need to prioritize time to talk to family and time to just shoot the shit with friends. Talk about not fitness stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes all life is fitness. Have you ever found that in your career so far?
Yeah. Often.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit easier when I work for myself, but especially when I was working for other people.
Yeah.
I won't name the gym, but I was there at 5 a.m. until 9:30 at night. Not even being paid for the time I was there, but I had to be there. What?
It's tough. It's not sustainable. That's
it's
why.
Not. It's exhausting just from the time consuming, let alone the brain power and strength you need to actually stay up.
Yeah.
Because you are your own brand. You are what makes you money. And if you are do the push-up, just do one.
Well, I mean,
give me two.
that's when self-awareness and introspection takes such a leading role. When you have to realize what you need to have your bucket full. At some point you realize you needed to allot a certain day for family time. We kind of briefly discussed that as we were scheduling this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That's family day. Oh, yep, that's his family day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, that's what you have to do. You have to draw the line in the sand. You have to stand by what your values are, and if your values are that you need to have time with your therapist, you need to have time with your family, you need to be speaking to things that you're passionate about, well, they're needing to take place in your life in some way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah, like the office we're sitting in, this was a no-brainer for me when it was offered to me, because I realized I need a place to just leave this. Yeah, I have my social media on my phone, but I don't have to post. I shoot all my videos here now. I put them up here now. And I try to make sure I put my phone down when I'm not there. I leave my computer here now, so I don't have the ability to work, because when I get stressed out, when I get nervous or anxious, I know I can work. I can work to kind of feel like I'm being productive, but that's not healthy, because what I actually need to do is like put it down and stop doing what I'm doing so that I can just be. And so this office, this is where I do my work now, and working on growing as a person that can actually put his work down so that I can keep putting out work for the rest of you.
And just like we have to keep working on our training, we still have to work on those soft skills or whatever you want to describe them. It's just being a family member. You don't just be a family member once and then you're good. You have to rep it out. You have to put in the time. You have to pay to play to be a family member, to be a friend, to be a leader, a speaker, anything like that. And no matter how much experience you have, you will fall down. You will fail. It will suck.
And that's where your community comes in.
Yeah. Nice. We'd have to add the smile was so pearly and white that we gotta have a little sparkle in there.
Just saying, he's right. But that's where your community, your support network, that's where those people come in. When you fall, when you trip, when you stumble, when you slide your ass all the way back down that hill, that's what they're there for. That is when you lean, because you need to do it. People lean on you all the time. They lean on your fitness knowledge. They lean on this. They lean on that. Who are you leaning on when that leaning becomes too heavy?
It's true. It's true. So if you were to give one piece of advice to someone on how to live their life to the fullest and most true to themselves way, what would that piece of advice be?
Give yourself grace. The hardest thing about anybody doing anything really is existing in a world that is dog eat dog, or wants you to believe it's dog eat dog. When you struggle to get out of bed, everyone has done it. I don't, there's people that are great at getting out of bed, but there's even days when they don't want to do it. Not letting the outside world dictate your emotions about sitting there in that bed or laying there in that bed is giving yourself grace to exist in the space and the energy that you have. All too often we let these outside forces dictate how we see and view what we are doing, or how we view ourselves, like we were talking about before. Giving yourself grace to understand that this shit ain't supposed to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. We cannot be perfect. But understanding that you are you, and you are going to get through this life the way that you see fit, not the way that Dave down the road or Karen does. It's not about that. But we struggle because all we see, oh yeah, they're mad about that. Okay, don't do that shit. Oh, but if I don't do that, how can I not do that? And you sit and you internalize it, and it becomes a part of you that was never supposed to be there. And grace and understanding of yourself gives you the ability to make mistakes without killing yourself over it, without hurting yourself over it, without hating yourself over it. Grace says, yes, it's okay to be the way that you are right now. So give yourself grace every day. Grace makes it easy to succeed when you feel like you can.
I think that's an important takeaway, just for people to just take it easy on themselves. And you're going to give my audience a challenge for the day. So the way we're going to do this is you're going to be like, your challenge for the day is, lay out the challenge for them, and then that's it.
All right. Oh, it's going to be corny. It's so going to be corny. It's going to be beautiful. My challenge for you today, to do one thing for somebody you do not know. You're not allowed to be paid back. You're not allowed to ask for praise. You're not even allowed to receive it. You are going to completely and utterly do something for somebody else that benefits the other person. And that's it.
It's a solid challenge. I think a lot of people will see a lot of clarity in giving that a shot. So I'd love to thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Been a long time coming and a solid conversation.